Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, October 14th, 2024, and I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order. We'd like to begin with an invocation and invite Pastor Deborah Timmons of Asbury Church forward.
Dear merciful and loving Father, we thank you for this day that we are gathered here this evening. We thank you for the many blessings that you continue to bestow upon us. Thank you for this meeting, for the council members, and for the residents of this great city of Madison. Bless us, O Lord, individually and collectively, we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Finley. Councilmember Robleski.
Here.
Councilmember Spears.
Here.
Councilmember Powell.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here.
Council President Bartlett.
Here.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Here.
And we have a quorum present. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, we have two amendments to the agenda. The first one is to remove item B under legal, and that's resolution 2024-341R, a memorandum of agreement with the Board of Education and Finger Development. And the second is to remove the personnel hearing and executive session at the end of the agenda, which is item 15, due to a request from the employee to withdraw the hearing.
Okay, and with those changes, the agenda is approved as amended. Next, we have approval of minutes number 2024-18-RG.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, minutes number 2024-02-SP.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Shaw in about 4 seconds, so let's give it to Spears. Okay. Any discussion? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Next, under presentation and awards, we have a presentation of a proclamation by Mayor Finley designating October 22nd, 2024 as Redstone Toastmasters Day. And do we have Lillian Cook here to receive? Oh, good. Okay, come on. Come forward. You come right to the podium and let me read just a few things. Okay, I'm stepping in for Mayor Finley, who's under the weather this evening. And so let me present this proclamation to you, Ms. Cook. Whereas Toastmasters International is a nonprofit educational organization consisting of thousands of clubs in 148 countries throughout the world for the purpose of helping members improve their communication, public speaking, and leadership skills. And whereas the Redstone Toastmasters Club was chartered effective October 1, 1955, is the oldest club in North Alabama and continues to provide a supportive and positive environment where women and men of the Madison area have the opportunity to develop communications and leadership skills. And whereas the Redstone Toastmaster Club has sponsored and organized 7 other clubs in North Alabama, and Redstone members have served in various district leadership positions over the past 69 years. And whereas the Redstone Toastmasters continues to distinguish itself year after year and provides services to other organizations when requested, Paul Finley, Mayor of the City of Madison, does hereby proclaim the day of October 22nd, 2024 as Redstone Toastmasters Day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Finley and the rest of the council and invite anyone who wants to come out to Redstone Toastmasters every Tuesday night, 6 p.m., Madison Church of Christ, 556 Hughes Road. We're all about communication and leadership. Thank you.
Okay, next we are at public comments. Each person who'd like to speak has 3 minutes. When you come to the dais, please state your name and the district where you reside. We did not have any comment cards turned in, so is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? Please come forward. Seeing none, we will close public comments. All right then.
Jocelyn Brower, District 4. There's several items I'm disappointed about on the agenda tonight. I'll speak to 2 now under legal and then speak later during the public hearing under planning. The first item is Resolution 340R. As a taxpayer and citizen of Madison City, I don't want to pay $4 million for an additional parking lot for Toyota Stadium. I'm done subsidizing sports team owners, builders, and developers, including Breland, associated with Old Town Investments, LLC. Seems to be some feedback tonight.
You want to move the mic a little bit? I wonder if that's...
Number 2, under Resolution 341R, I also don't want our school system to have to pay over $2 million for infrastructure that should have been put in previously with or without the new school being built. This infrastructure was needed according to the 2016 West Side Master Plan and should have been in place and taken care of before the new subdivision was approved on Hardiman Road near Burr Green Road. The piece of the pie that goes to schools needs to go to what's most important, having space for students and quality classes, programs, and teachers. We already pay less per student than other high-performing schools, and we already expect more. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Brower. Do you know why we've got feedback on the mic? We're attending to technical difficulties. Please be patient. He's got it. I think he's got it fixed.
Test.
We have other presentations as well. Thanks, Chris. Okay. Give them just a minute to reset the clock.
Oh, Chris
They're
doesn't?
gonna-
I thought you guys did the clock.
No, they don't trust us with that. Okay, now we're ready.
Okay. Margie Daly, District 6. So recently, I found out more information about freedom of information, and transparency is not our top priority in our government, but we the people, the taxpayers, we own everything from every sticky note to every pen to every text you write. This has come out in court in Georgia, and I just wanted to make that clear that my civil rights have been violated numerous times by Brian Kilgore with not giving me freedom of information. So, you know, that is a civil rights violation, I've come to find out. With all that said, the budget, I'm glad everybody got all the pork they wanted and all the cronies were paid off. All out of the infamous Fund 38, the CIP fund, or the capital improvement funds. Did we get one sidewalk? Did we get our Cobra Armed streetlights back? Where's the benefit to we the people? Just having a budget doesn't make you guys good fiduciaries or mean it's followed. Our collateral is assessed too high, and you've borrowed $150 million. We're in debt till 2045 with no seeable way to pay it off. The stadium bond has never paid down one penny. It's only been refinanced again and again. We have never received a dime over 1.2 million, and the $300,000 has been used over and over again out of the Fund 38 Capital Improvement Fund. It's unethical, unjust, and I hope it comes back to haunt everyone that has voted yes, to keep the taxpayers in the dark on our debt. The current council has gotten us in. All payables from the stadium go to 50 owners, and then a nonprofit, and then a trust. It's a joke. We get nothing. Now, I'm going to move on to the resolutions. 340, $4 million for an unpaved parking lot. Now, in the resolution, it says, does it come with the ADA sidewalks, or is the city going to put those in also? I don't want another $4 million of taxpayers' money going to this stadium. It hasn't paid a penny back. Then we have these consultants we're hiring. We're even hiring a consultant to show how we do fire promotions. We can't read that on the internet. $27,000 for that. Now, also, there's a consultant, Johnson Controls, that's another $3,000 to the stadium. Then the generator maintenance is $15,000. I thought that we made a department. We hired Gerald, and he was going to be able to handle all this or delegate it. But obviously, we now need consultants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Johnson. I think I'm in District 4, Westwood Lane. Anyway, I was wanting to talk about the 2024-302R. I've been a resident of Madison since about 1989. Had a concealed carry permit in the county since 1987. In the 80s, I had a top secret security clearance from the FBI, and lately, for 15 or 16 years, I've had a secret clearance from the FBI. I work at the Arsenal. I design weapons that kill our nation's enemies, frankly, hundreds of them at a time. But y'all won't let me bring my pocket knife in here that I can take on the Arsenal, and now I have to disarm to come in here to need to give up my constitutional rights to come and, exercise my other constitutional rights. I mean, I'm not a threat. This is kind of scattershot. I've been meaning to talk about it, but I saw it on the agenda for tonight. When you want people, I was just in the Madison County thing on Memorial Parkway today. So this is the second time I've had to disarm to come in a government building, a public building. It creates an us versus them mentality of like, the police, they're good people. I don't like to be treated like a prisoner and to be deprived of rights just because I want to exercise some of my other rights or to come to vote or anything. And I know that you have to maintain security, but disarming people just from the get-go is just not the way to do it. I mean, I've been coming to city council meetings pretty regularly for about a year and a half, and when I first started, the first year or so, I just walk in the building and it's no big deal, and everybody's treated like an actual citizen, not like a felon, quite frankly. So, I'm not a threat to y'all. I don't think anybody here tonight's a threat to y'all, and if there are threats in here, we got the fine police behind us. Every time I've interacted with them, or police or fire department or whatever, they've always been professional and everything, but I just don't think that's a good use of money, and also I just don't like to be treated like a felon. It's like that's un-American, basically. Anyway, that's about all I wanted to say. I left out a few things, but anyway. Also, yeah, $4 million for the stadium. People are tired of the stadium money. That's getting old. But anyway, thank y'all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comments and move to the consent agenda and finance committee report.
Yes, the Finance Committee has reviewed the regular and periodic bills, and under the consent agenda, we have a few contracts authorizing the installation of a fence behind Main Street Cafe, an invoice to Morel Engineering for Madison Boulevard resurfacing and signalization, some pest control, termite contracts, some cloud-based storage contract, catastrophic inmate medical insurance, disposition of personal property of negligible value from the from the fire department, a donation of $50 from Beans LLC to the fire department, and a donation from Senator Butler to assist in the installation of the fence behind Main Street Cafe of $20,000, this being deposited at Council Special Projects. And with that, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Spears, second by Powell. Any questions? Ready for vote?
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, presentation of reports. We will begin with District 1.
Yes, ma'am. Want to thank everyone who came out a week ago Saturday, October 5th, for our annual 30,000 Friends Party with the Madison Street Festival. It was a fabulous event. Many thanks to the Madison Street Festival Committee and their many, many, many volunteers. They essentially start planning this event the day after the event the previous year. We were blessed with sunny but warm weather. It was hot out there, but great turnout, and just am so appreciative that we're able to live in a city that can shut down downtown and have a parade and party and get tea and all sorts of good things. It was just a great time. And I also want to put out in a plug for the Madison Professional Firefighters Association. They are selling their annual October firefighter shirts. You can get them in pink or navy. It's got the cute trash panda design. They're $20 for short sleeve, $25 for long sleeve. You can go right here, don't even have to move your car, right here and see Miss Nikki in the fire department. She will take care of you. The proceeds go to breast cancer awareness and also to the Madison Firefighters Association. So would humbly ask for your support for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. District 2.
Yes, I attended the Alabama League of Municipalities Board of Directors meeting last week, and one of the things I wanted to remind you from the meeting is that our training requirement, mandatory training requirement, starts as of January 2025, and I have a list of the conferences that are coming up next year if y'all want to take a look at them, or I can send y'all an email with them. But that will be a requirement for all municipal leaders or officials starting January 2025. And that's all.
District 3.
No new business.
District 4.
No new business.
Skipping 6 to 7.
None. No new business tonight.
Okay, I just have one announcement. Our October work session is tentatively scheduled for 5 p.m. on October 28th, prior to our next city council meeting in October. And so we're penciling that in, and we'll get a notice out soon.
And we're going to cancel the Finance Committee meeting in lieu of the work session.
Because it's going to be finance related anyway. I
Right.
think we're going to, yeah. Okay, so we're going to move to board and committee appointments, and we have one appointment to place 3 on the Madison Planning Commission. John, you're on the commission. You represent council.
That's correct. So in place of the mayor tonight, we'll recommend that as his appointment, that Troy Wesson be reappointed to place 3 for the Planning Commission with a term of expiration October 15th of 2030.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Troy Wesson to be reappointed to place 3. Are there any other, well, that's the mayor's nomination, so.
That's the mayor's.
Okay, so I think we can go ahead and take a vote on that. Or do we just let the mayor
I think we
appoint?
just approve by acclamation.
Oh, by acclamation, okay. All right then. So Troy Wesson is reappointed to place 3. All right, we have 6 public hearings this evening. Public hearings will allow each person to come forward for 5 minutes to speak to the issue that is presented at the hearing, and we'll just take them in order. On.
Good evening. The Revenue Department has a few items for a public hearing this evening. The first one is Resolution Number 2024-308-R, and this is a request for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license from WSH Ventures LLC, doing business.
We're going to turn off the podium. Continuing to have technical difficulties, but we have a solution.
All right, so
Okay.
we're talking about
Karaoke machine comes next.
Resolution Number 2024-308-R, and this is a request for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license from WSH Ventures LLC, doing business as Vine and Oak, for their location at 69 Martin Street. The reason for applying for a lounge retail liquor license at this time is that it's a new business opening in the downtown Madison area. Everything is in order for this item to be considered.
Okay, thank you. We will open public hearings on this item. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak to this issue? Seeing none, we will close public hearings. Any questions from council?
Just wanted to ask if anyone was here with the new
No.
facility. Well, just thank them for investing in Madison.
Sure, I will.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion, second?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Shaw, second by Robleski. Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next.
The second item is Resolution Number 2024-309-R. This is a request for an on-premises beer and wine license from Madison Hotels 3 LLC, doing business as Homewood Suites by Hilton, for their location at 540 Down Madison Boulevard. This is a new hotel opening in the Town Madison area. Everything is okay for this item to be considered.
Okay, we will open public hearing on this item for Homewood Suites by Hilton. Seeing no comments from the public, we will close the public hearing. Any questions from council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Robleski, second by Shaw. Any questions? All right, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next.
Next, we have Resolution Number 2024-310-R. This is a request for a restaurant retail liquor license from Exchange Hotel Partners 1 LLC, doing business as Courtyard Residence in Town Madison, for their location at 260 Stadium Way. The motive for applying for a restaurant retail liquor license at this time, again, is that this is a new hotel opening in the city of Madison. Everything is in order for this item to be considered, and I believe there is a representative in audience if you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll open public hearings now on the Courtyard Residence in Town Madison. Seeing no comments from the public or questions, we'll close public hearing. Opening up for council. Can I have a motion and second?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Robleski, second by Shaw. Any questions? Seeing none?
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next.
As we have Resolution Number 2024-329-R. This is a request for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license from Entice Bar and Grill LLC, doing business as Entice Bar and Grill. This is for their location at 8694 Madison Boulevard, Suite J. The business is applying for a lounge retail liquor license to change its current restaurant retail liquor license to better suit this location.
Okay, we will open public hearings on this lounge retail liquor license. And seeing no comments or questions from the public, we've closed public hearings. Open it up. Can I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Robleski, second by Powell.
was thinking that we approved this like at our last, not the last meeting, the meeting before the last meeting?
That is correct. It was approved for a restaurant retail liquor license, and they will wish to change it to a lounge.
Oh, okay, very
Yes.
good. Thank you.
This will be for the lounge liquor license, my permitting dancing, or maybe other level entertainment, but not underage.
Oh, great. That
Okay.
is great news, yes.
Any other questions? Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Robleski,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Good evening.
It's a little odd.
It is.
Want to break into song?
I want to. This is resolution number 2024-284-R. This is a request to vacate a portion of Lime Quarry Road right-of-way. This is located over in town Madison at the intersection of Intergraph Way and Lime Quarry. You can see the area there in front of you up on the screen, and have an aerial which makes it a little bit easier to understand the area that's being vacated. It is predominantly landscaping. There is some water utility in there, and there is some drainage function. So later in your agenda, should you approve the vacation of this, we do request that you accept utility and drainage easement, and that's under the planning item. This is a public hearing item. We did notice it in the paper. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, we're going to open a public hearing on resolution number 2024-284-R. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak to this or ask any questions?
Mary Beth, can you give her the microphone, please?
Oh, yeah.
I have a question. I see that the drainage on the other side, it looks like it's got an issue there. So we're talking that this is going to be the new drainage?
Okay, are there any other questions besides the drainage question?
Well, yeah. What's across from it? Is that across from our water source? Is that what's across there?
You should address your questions to council, and then
Okay, she's making notes of all your questions, so she'll answer you when you're done.
That's my curiosity. I see that there's erosion on the other side. So if we're removing it or we're adding this drainage utility? Yes to both?
She's going to answer your questions in just a minute.
Well, unless I get one answered quote, we have 5 minutes, but unless, I can't continue asking if I don't get an answer.
There goes the mic.
Can you catch that?
Oh, it's about to fall off. It's sliding off.
Sliding this way?
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Staley. We have your questions down. Are there any other questions or any comments from the members of the public during the public hearing? All right, we are going to close public hearing and let Mary Beth come back and answer the questions from the public, and then I'll get a motion in a second.
Okay, so on the north side of the street, that's not a drainage project. That was actually a sidewalk, a multi-use path project. It's just not complete. You can see a portion of the multi-use path being constructed right there, that white area. And this was just where they were grading for the rest of the multi-use path / sidewalk to come out this way. So there's no change to the drainage that's already happening out there. The area that's highlighted in yellow, there's existing drainage function there. That's not changing. There's no reason for the city to have to maintain this area. So we're happy to let the developer do that. There is a small area that we will retain. Well, oh, there we go. There's a small area that the city's going to retain, this area right there. It's going to be right around in here, that we won't have the utility and drainage easement on because that's where the developer wants to put their entry sign for the subdivision. But we're recommending that we vacate all of it.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second, and then we'll entertain questions from council?
Second.
Okay, motion by Powell, second by Shaw. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're ready for a vote. Powell and Shaw.
Margie had another question about
Yep.
the water source, please.
What's across the street? What's across Lime Quarry Road?
That's
from
the
there?
driving range.
Interstate.
No, across the street is just an open space area. There's no development. It's just a remnant piece of right-of-way. The only thing that's on it is turf and that walking path.
And then the interstate is behind it.
And the interstate is to the north of it, yes. So there's no water source that's being affected or anything like that. Madison Utilities has infrastructure in the ground north, but it's not being changed with this.
So this is to the west of those apartments? then?
Yes, it is.
So there's like the driving range, then the apartments, and then this lot that's across the street?
Yes, and you can see the roundabout at the intersection there in that area of Intergraph Way and Lime Quarry Road.
Thank you.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next public hearing item is proposed ordinance number 2024-287. This is a request to zone property on the south side of Huntsville-Browns Ferry, west of Burr Green Road. You can see the subject property there. It's just over 89 acres. It has been used for agricultural purposes, as has all of the property immediately around this tract. You can see to the east along Huntsville-Browns Ferry is where the village at Oakland Springs is located. There we go. That's the village at Oakland Springs right there, just to orient you. And there's a utility substation to the west and a variety of residential projects to the south and to the east. The subject property is zoned agriculture, and the applicant is requesting a cluster zoning, which is RC2 cluster zoning. You can see that the property around it is also zoned agriculture. We do have two RC2 projects in relative close proximity to this project. One is the Bella Woods project on the north side of Huntsville-Browns Ferry, right there. And the other is Heritage Hills, which is on the south side of Powell Road. And there's Bella Woods. The village at Oakland Springs, which is the larger orange area, is zoned traditional neighborhood development. And you can see there's just a variety of residential zoning. The pink on this map is the city of Huntsville. So you can see a portion of the property is directly adjacent to Huntsville. RC2 zoning requires submittal of a concept plan. And this is the concept plan that has been submitted by the applicant. Overall, there's about 2.2 units to the acre, which is a little bit less than the R1A density. Cluster zoning starts with an R2 density. The intent of the cluster zoning is if there is a natural feature, or in this case, a man-made feature, that you're going to cluster their units, right, and have that feature preserved, or in this case, created. The concept plan was reviewed by the Planning Commission when they considered the request for zoning as well. And one of the requirements of cluster zoning when you have residential uses proposed to agricultural uses is you have to have a 50-foot wide buffer between the residential use and the agricultural use. And you can see on this drawing a little bit more clearly on the left, which would be the west side, the 50-foot landscape buffer, and you can see that also along the north property line of this project. On the south side, the pond and walking trail make up part of that 50-foot buffer, and then there's a little bit. I would note that this is the first project we've had in the city where we've actually used this buffer requirement. While we already have cluster zoning properties in other parts, I mentioned Bella Woods, I mentioned Heritage Hills, they weren't occurring next to active agricultural production property. and this project is, and so we've required this 50-foot landscape buffer. And should this project go forward, that'll be something the Planning Commission will look at in terms of whether or not that needs to be landscaped and so forth. The cluster zoning also requires a minimum 20% of this property be set aside as open space, and this project is at 20.6%, 20.64%. So they are complying with that requirement. So in our evaluation of their concept plan, it is complying with the city's requirements. This property is also located within the West Side Master Plan. And you can see that the West Side Master Plan, when it was done in 2016, identified this property for community facilities. Community facilities at that time we were thinking that that's where the schools would go, because this is the property that Madison City School District identified for future elementary school, future middle school, and possibly even high school facilities. Fast forward to today, the district ended up building an elementary school next to Kroger on Sullivan, and it's building the elementary school down on the former Halsey property further south, and the middle school is Journey Middle School, and has at least stated, as far as I know, not building another high school, right? Try to improve facilities on the existing properties. So therefore, in our analysis, we've stated that this property wouldn't be needed for those school facilities. Even if the school district did decide to locate a facility up in this corner of the city, there's still 135 acres left with the community facility designation on the current West Side Master Plan. The other item related to land use is that schools, fire stations, the like, were the primary uses in the West Side Master Plan, a secondary use that was allowed was detached single family. So that's what's proposed here. And so when this went to the Planning Commission, it did not require a change to the West Side Master Plan because the single family homes that are proposed is already allowed in the West Side Master Plan. You'll also see that in the West Side Master Plan, it had identified some proposed interconnectivity routes, which could be roads, could be beefed up multi-use paths, and so forth. And it's proposing one along the west side of this property, and also was proposing something through, not through the middle, but kind of lining it up based upon the land use designations to the east. And as you saw in the site plan, in either one of these plans, but I'll go to this one, that road could be accommodated on the west side. The 50-foot landscape buffer, what we've talked with the applicant and what they noted on their plan is half of that could go towards a future road if the property to the west were to develop. So they would be able to meet that requirement. And then they are showing roads that, while they don't connect all the way to the west, they would be able to line up with any future roads to the east. This, again, if this project goes forward, is something that the Planning Commission will take up as they normally do as they're talking about the subdivision itself. And with that, that concludes my remarks, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, we're going to open a public hearing on this item. And Mary Beth, do we have the property owner here?
I don't know if Mr. Bergreen, who owns the property, currently is here, but the developer and the person facilitating the project, Mr. Anderson, they are here.
Okay. All right, we're going to open public hearings. You have 5 minutes.
Margie Daly, District 6. Okay, so I'm seeing this is all ag there, and we're going to turn around and now, okay, so a concept proposed. Thank you, Mary Beth. Okay, so it's a concept plan and it's proposed. So what does that mean? That means nothing is real here. This is not a plan, it's a concept. So concepts can be extreme. So when will the development be started? When will the plan be a solid approved plan? And why do we do this before we have a solid plan. Why do we change zoning without having a plan in front of us that meets the requirements? So we're going to pop this over to the planning department, who are all yes heads. I mean, they approve everything, just like you guys. I mean, if we're all thinking the same, none of us are actually thinking, and you guys just vote the same, vote the same. So, I mean, you don't bring a proposed zoning ordinance before there's a plan. And that's why we're supposed to have a plan, but when you call it concept and proposed, it means absolutely zero. It's not reality. Thank you. And it should be stayed ag, because ag is on 3 sides in Madison, and that's the way zoning works. So this is out of the blue. You're putting this right in the middle of ag, which is agricultural farming, for those who don't know.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak at the public hearing on this item? You might want to lift the microphone out of the holder, and it might be easier if you hold it closer to your... Sorry about that. I think I should just remove the stand. It's kind of precarious.
I'm Tammy Bergreen, and this is Jeff Bergreen. We own land to the south and to the east of this. This whole road is all farmland, and if you change, there's 60 acres to the north of this and 90 acres to the south of this, and if you cut this out of the middle, this is going to mess up drainage for all the property around, because you're going to make this higher than all the other property, because we've run into this problem in other subdivisions that are against farmland.
We're against 3 others, and I get flooded every time. And all y'all do is vote yes, and none of y'all even know probably where this has been down Bowers Road. And, to me, anybody in planning, anybody in city council ought to come look at what you're voting on. Because it's easy to look at a map and not know exactly,
And this is going to affect all the
this is my whole
farmland around
livelihood
it.
that y'all fixing to run, that I've been here my whole life,
He
farming
farms for a
45 years.
living. It's not a hobby. So he depends on that land to make a
And
living.
police are non-existent down there. Tidewater, they're non-existent. The roads haven't been cut in 2 months down there, grown up like this. And if the stop sign's gone or anything, I have to call Public Works all the time because nobody's down there. Y'all, it's like the forgotten place down there. It's nothing but traffic. And then, wanting to run this, and Mr. Bowers is under the weather, and he owns property right across from it on the east side, and I own also on the east side and on the south side. But that holding pond right there, I'm going to say that it's eventually it'll run out. It's got to run out somewhere, and it's going to run on me. And when they build that land up, I'm going to be like this, the same way as I am, and it's going to ruin my property right there. And, just because a developer wants to develop or a seller wants to sell, which that's my brother, unfortunately, and it's engineered, that don't mean it's the ideal spot, even though it's engineered. It don't mean it's all going to work, because everything's been engineered. I can carry all y'all to 3 places right now and educate you on what's happened right here. I got proof on anything.
And we have problems now with the subdivisions. The people in the subdivisions think our property is a dumping ground. They dump concrete, their trees, their limbs. They direct their water over to us to get it out of their yards. We just have so many problems right now where farmland has become subdivisions, and it's built up so much higher than everything else. So we're kind of against this being rezoned because it's going to mess our land up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. All right, do we have anyone else who would like to speak?
I'm going to, this microphone.
Sorry, I think you're going to have to pop. I think we should just remove that stand. It's distracting.
No, just set it on the podium. Thank you.
There you go.
Well, I'll try to scroll and hold the microphone at the same time. So Jocelyn Brower, District 4. Again, this is 89 acres with a zoning request, a rezoning from agriculture to a cluster zone. We've got 198 homes, 3 phases, each one every 18 months, starting with a 2026 occupancy. They could start moving dirt at the end of the year. These are notes I've taken from previous meetings. About 80-foot wide lots. Could be equivalent to 1/3 of an acre, maybe. There are no pictures of the buildings or structures. We also know currently the new subdivision does not hook up to the planned greenways. We have not put in the infrastructure to accommodate the growth to date on the west side of Madison. Citizens want infrastructure first. We have put in some, but not nearly enough to keep growing. I've been impressed with the roads that Huntsville's putting in on the west side before their growth. We must do the same. The West Side Master Plan noted, and I will repeat once again, I know John's heard this several times at planning and here at council, and you've probably heard it before as well, but this comes directly from the West Side Master Plan 2016. So much growth in what has historically been an agricultural area puts a strain on adjacent and nearby roads, utilities, police, and fire service, and as people with children move in, schools. If the remaining portions of the undeveloped land continue to build with this same pattern, the consequences for Madison could be grim. The plan noted $27 million plus in infrastructure improvements that needed to be done on the west side. We have not done nearly enough. This will impact Burr Green Road behind James Clemens High School, as well as Hardiman Road. We all know more rooftops come with added costs for roads and infrastructure and services, including police, fire, and schools, water, and sewer. As stated previously here in council and in the West Side Master Plan, we will need a new fire station on the west side of County Line. There's one coming in by Toyota Stadium in town Madison, but not the west side. We keep adding concrete, but what about the farmers that are next to this property? Have we done enough to be good neighbors? There was a 50-foot landscape buffer discussed for this development on two sides. However, 25 feet was mentioned may be used for future roadway development. That leaves only a 25-foot buffer, which is actually less than the 30 feet that I have behind me with a limestone county build. People call that the Wild Wild West. We don't even have planning. I can tell you from experience that's not enough. Future growth will look into these neighbors' homes and add road noise for homeowners. Again, we can be better neighbors. If you want to move forward, let's make an ask for a larger border with trees and more vegetation to help buffer our farmers and protect their land from flooding. There are no existing trees on the original land. That doesn't mean we can't add more. Where is the new master plan for our area? It was supposed to be out in October before this new development, and rezone was approved. As far as the schools, previously I was told there would be an update regarding the amount of students moving into and living in all the new apartments built recently in town Madison. Citizens, and as far as I know, council, have not received any updates on this. I appreciate you taking this all into consideration tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Just sit it down on, yeah, we'll let somebody else just take it from there. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the public hearing? I think we should just remove the stand because it just slides off. Yeah, I think you can just take the stand. Thank you.
Hello, my friends. How are y'all this evening?
Name and district?
Frank Harradine, District 4. I shared an email with all of you. Hopefully you all saw that about the financial implications of approving this property. I'm not anti-growth, but I do think that we need to be cognizant and really aware of the implications of what we approve and the immediate deficit, basically, that it places on our school systems that already have a $6.5 million underfunded problem with their budget right now. As far as the agriculture goes that's next to it, I know that my husband and I in Pension Row, our house is built to standard of what code is today, and it's built up. They had to bring in a lot of dirt and rock and so forth, and our one house flooded out the house next door, and they have water sitting under that house and so forth just from that house. And there's lots of little homes there that have been there for probably a century. I mean, literally, some of them probably pushing 100 years, that if the same type of approval was given to an adjacent something next to them, some of those houses, it could just make collapse, people that would have nowhere else to go. And so with this and just other projects, we need to be really mindful of how we build up. So you build up, 100 and something units of housing here. I can definitely see the impact that could have on someone's property that's next to it, just from our house and what it did to the neighboring house right next to us. So just want to be mindful of that. The other thing too is if this was zoned, I don't know exactly what all goes into community center or what that particular zoning is, but it seems presumptive that there's these other acres there and that we could use them for schooling or so forth later, unless we're going to acquire that property by eminent domain, which would be very controversial in itself. We're making an assumption that those properties will be for sale and available for us later to be able to use to build the school infrastructure, whatever it is that we may need. I did listen to the Planning Commission meeting and heard the farmers' concerns and so forth, and I understand those. If I'm not mistaken as well, the airport also said, hey, this is probably not the best place for that. That being said, Huntsville's done the same thing. I think they made the same recommendation to Huntsville, don't do it, and Huntsville went ahead and did it. So for what it's worth, the airport had their say and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this as well. So just want to be mindful of those points when we're making this decision here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Grant. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for public hearing?
Yes, my name is Paul Duskin. I'm with To The Point Incorporated, the civil engineers. To address the drainage, we're going to construct on the south side, as you saw on the plan, an oversized detention pond, contain a 100-year storm, discharge it into a ditch at Bowers Road.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. I'd like to get a motion in a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Roblesky, second by Seifert. And let's let Mary Beth address some of the comments that she heard, and then we'll open it up for council questions.
Okay. I'm just going to go through these in the order that I heard them. Ms. Daly was raising the question about a concept plan and how real is a concept plan. The city only has 2 zoning districts that require submittal of a plan before zoning can be acted on. One is cluster zoning and the other is our traditional neighborhood development. Said another way, this is a good thing because you all are getting a sense, as is the public, of what this developer wants to do on this property before the zoning goes into place. Most zoning requests do not require any submittal of a plan. So this is a higher standard for this particular zoning district. And this concept plan goes to the Planning Commission, and because it's affiliated with the cluster zoning, it doesn't get approved like a subdivision, but it sort of locks in the concept of what they're going to do, how many lots and so forth. I will also mention the fact that at your last meeting you approved a development agreement related to this property, which locks in the total number of lots and the phasing of that lot, should the zoning be approved. If you do not approve the zoning, then that development agreement is meaningless. The word concept is just the word that's used in our zoning ordinance, and that's the word that we're echoing, but it is their development plan that they want to move forward with. The project engineer just came up and spoke about the drainage, but their plan, and you can see it in this illustration, is to build an oversized pond. In general, a project is not supposed to increase drainage from their site onto another site. And I know Mr. Bergreen, who is here, not Mr. Bergreen, the owner, but Mr. Bergreen, who's here, has indicated he's had some issues with other projects. But that is how the engineering is supposed to work, to not create any off-site impacts that don't already exist. With respect to the comment about infrastructure being built before houses go in, the city's transportation plan that was done in 2018 and the modeling for that projects growth and looks at road improvements that would be needed, did not identify the need to widen Bowers Road, to increase capacity on Bowers Road. We're in the midst, a slow roll of a comprehensive plan, which also did an updated traffic study. It also did not identify the need to widen Bowers Road. There is a need to improve Huntsville-Browns Ferry. That's been in the city's transportation plan for a while. And the city had attempted to start doing some of that widening and ran out of funds. This was many years ago. We're looking at doing the intersection improvement, right, at Huntsville, Browns Ferry, and Burgreen. And then the city does have a plan to do a 3-lane segment for a portion of Huntsville, Browns Ferry near between the village at Oakland Springs and Bella Woods. Long term, we see a need to improve Huntsville, Browns Ferry because of its connectivity to the interstate and all of the development going on to the west. This project itself isn't triggering the need to do any type of road improvement, and we really haven't reached a tipping point. And to Ms. Brower's point, it's always nice if you can do the infrastructure in advance. Sometimes you're able to do that and sometimes not, but this project itself is not triggering anything. With respect to the comment about the airport, at that public hearing, the airport was there to speak on another rezoning request. They were not talking about this. They were talking about a project that it was at the corner of County Line and Madison Boulevard. The airport's flight zones do not extend, or flight paths do not extend this far up. So the gentleman's right, the airport was at the meeting where this was being discussed, but it was for another item and not this item. And with respect to the Planning Commission, there were 3 speakers who spoke at that meeting. Mr. Burgreen, who's here in the audience, Mr. Bowers, who has property to the east, and then Ms. Brewer spoke on this particular item. The Planning Commission did support this request. It was a 6-3 vote, with Commissioners Brooks, Cottle, and Palmer voting against the rezoning request. I think those were all the questions that I thought needed addressing, but I'm happy to answer anything else you may have.
Okay, let's open it up to council for questions.
Yes, Mary Beth, if this is approved and the building begins and the dirt work begins and Mr. Burgreen sees that there is a drainage issue, what is his recourse at that point? I mean, what does he do? How does he contact the city? Who should he contact? Or how does he make sure that this does not impact his land?
So all of the construction details go through our technical review committee. Those construction plans are part of the preliminary plat, which ultimately is acted on by the Planning Commission. If there is a drainage concern, typically people are going to reach out to the engineering department, and you may want to have Michael come up and speak to that drainage and how they would approach this subdivision and analyze that. I'd probably be the best person for that. But if we got a drainage complaint, we're going to send it over to engineering.
Michael, do you mind giving us just a quick overview of how Mr. Burgreen would approach this if this is approved and there is an issue in the future, please? Thank you.
So this one, as with other development projects, is required to reduce runoff onto adjacent properties. And so we count on the project engineer, the design engineer, to provide a stormwater report that lays all that out. If, during the construction of this, it'd be hard to see something like that, but once everything was in place, this pond was in place, the outfalls were created, we still found there's some sort of an issue with the design, we would go back to the design engineer on something like that. We'd have to look at their methodology, how they came up with their models and that kind of a thing. So we would have to go back, with those guys. To the point is here representing those guys now. But we also have to consider, climate factors and flood and all that other stuff. So it'd be hard to pinpoint exactly, but that's kind of where it would start.
So if this was approved and there was an issue, then Mr. Burgreen would reach out to you, and then you would work with the development?
We would go back with the design engineers and talk about their methodology and how they came up with, their pre and post models. Like I said, they're the ones that are doing the analysis. They're the ones that are sending people out there doing the surveys. They're doing the soil surveys, all of that stuff. They're the ones that we're going to count on to do those things. When the stormwater report is submitted to engineering, we review it for methodology, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We can't go back and fact check it at that time. That's just not our function. But if there's an issue, that's when we go back and kind of start to analyze the report from that perspective, and we get into contact with the design engineer at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Well, just going along that track, do we have any authority to have, if you go back to that process and you see there's an error, do we have an authority to enforce that situation be corrected? I mean, we're not the landowners.
No, it would ultimately become a sort of a neighbor dispute kind of a thing. If it gets into that kind of a litigation sort of a thing, the city would have, we'd present our findings. We would go in and we would say, per the requirements that this stormwater was analyzed properly and the methodology was correct, and that's kind of what our findings were. But it would be between the property owners of who's responsible for, what the mitigation would have to be for that.
So we just mean more
Yeah, we would not.
the word adverse.
Right. The city would not be a direct participant in that.
Right.
Yeah, in that litigation. I don't think. I'd have to defer to Megan a little bit on it, but.
So if the detention pond is not adequate and it causes runoff or flooding onto Mr. Bergreen's property, their only recourse is to sue?
Well, I mean, so there's a lot to it. So there's the design of it, and then of course there's the implementation of it, and then there's the building of it. So there's environmental concerns. You get a 100-year storm. These ponds aren't necessarily designed to accommodate those kinds of things. They're gonna design it up to a 25-year storm or a 50-year storm, based on the subdivision requirements. But if we get these, we get some huge high-intensity rainfall over a 6-hour period, it's possible we could be in a flood situation. So there's just a lot of factors, and so it's hard to say, well, if the pond isn't adequate and it floods the property, then this is the exact steps that we're gonna. It'd be hard to lay out what that would be, standing here in this case. But yeah, it boils down to kind of a civil dispute between adjacent property owners.
If I can, so I heard 100-year. I see north-south head nods back there of 100.
He's doing an oversized. I was speaking broadly on these kinds of things in general.
Yeah. So, but this one, the requirement is the requirement 100 years, or y'all just designing to 100 years? Okay. So if you're,
I haven't seen that design though, right? So as we said, we're still in concept land. We're still in proposed land. So they haven't completely prepared that, or at least I haven't received it yet.
Right, but that's the requirement they've chosen to design it to. And
voluntarily, they are planning on doing an oversized detention to meet a 100-year standard instead of a 50-year standard, which is our typical.
Right. And then they're going to dump it out on the ditch on Bowers Road. I haven't looked at that ditch. Is the ditch in a condition that it can take?
Yeah, that's going to be part of their. That's going to be part of their analysis when they submit a stormwater report. They're going to say, okay, this is the outfall. This entire property. When you're, not to get too far in the weeds, but when you look at something like this,
we can get in the weeds.
Well, I don't want to get too far, but you take a piece of property like this and you say, okay, how many drainage basins do I have? Does the northwest corner drain to the north? This drains to the east, and then this part drains there. Are we going to try to take all of the water to the same outfall point? You have to kind of figure that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
If you determine that all of this property, or at least all the water that's going to go to that pond, the outfall has always been that ditch on Bowers Road, then the idea here is to use the pond to attenuate that flow so that it is still able to go into that same ditch. Just like if it was going into a pipe or anything else that was existing. That's the idea. If any improvements are needed to be made to that ditch, that would be part of their design too.
Okay.
So I understand we can't force or enforce agreements between neighbors. I mean, that's not our place. But, we're talking about runoff, right? And I'm not a farmer, by the way. I don't, that's not something I do. I can barely grow a plant in the front yard, so I don't know a lot, but I guess, we're talking about the runoff, and that creates problems with water. There's also the years when there's not a lot of water. Is there any kind of agreement that can be between subdivisions and farmers where, we got these ponds and they've retained this water? I mean, in certain times that they need water, it goes to it or not. How do we, can we work that out as a?
Well, I think that's another one of those. I think that's another one of those kind of things between property owners. It sounds like you're talking about maybe reserving water for irrigation purposes or something like that. It sounds like something that the city probably wouldn't be a participant in. I don't think
it's not something. It's not something we're involved.
I mean, it's certainly something we could suggest or offer up as a possible solution, but I don't think we'd be a part of that. It wouldn't be like written on the plat or anything like that.
No. I mean, we're our job here is to say yes or no to this. I mean, that's ours, and then to make sure the roads are maintained. But I think we also have to be good stewards of what we're given. So, and I can't force agreements between neighbors. I've got neighbors in my neighborhood that fight over the fence. So,
I've probably met those.
This is literally gonna be the same thing, except you have two entities that are gonna have a lot of investment and time and years in it. So just a question.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I got two more questions, Mary Beth.
Thank you, Michael.
With it currently being ag zoned, or zoned ag, what could be built there now? And what are the potential uses that could be built there as it is? And if it were homes, what kind of density could we be looking at from that standpoint?
Under the current ordinance, the current zoning ordinance, in agricultural, you need 3 acres per residential unit. So, roughly 90, it's a little shy of 90 acres, but for simple math, 90 acres divided by 3.
30?
That's, yeah.
Is that Auburn degree?
It's Auburn degree, yeah. That is how many residential units could be built on that property under the current zoning. Ag zoning allows for a host of other uses, nurseries, agricultural type uses. There are conditional uses. You can have religious assembly. You could have different schools, things of that nature. It's a fairly limited list, but it does allow for a variety of uses.
Okay. And then the second question is the impact to the schools. Was this part of or planned as part of that school study or growth study that was done, I don't know, a few years back now?
Back in 2017, 2018. Yeah, it's a while ago. So when we did that analysis, we did look at growth in the different portions of the city that had not yet developed, and we made some assumptions about the number of units that might occur to feed into that spreadsheet effectively. And so we did assume a certain amount of residential growth out this way. This project would be part of that. So I would say that these units were accounted for, not necessarily on this property, because you never know what property is going to develop, right, first. And it's not like there's a right to, like, this property gets 198 units and this property gets 50. It doesn't work like this. So there's sort of, if this were approved, this is the first one in, right? And so if the allocation was 400 units in this quadrant, they're getting about half of that allocation. But yes, I guess is the very short answer.
All right, thank you.
Is there a way that the issues with regard to drainage and guaranteeing that there wouldn't be flooding, could that be a part of a development agreement?
So typically, I'll say a developer isn't going to want to spend the money to do detailed construction drawings unless they know that they're going to be able to do a project. And in this particular case, they need to know if the property is going to be zoned in a way that works for them. If the zoning is approved, then they go to the next step, which is a layout, which is basically just like the development, the concept plan, just in our subdivision ordinance. That's a required step, even though they've already done effectively a layout. They're gonna have to go to the Planning Commission for a layout. And if Planning Commission approves that layout, then they go to their preliminary plat, which is the detailed construction drawings. We know in talking with the developers team, and obviously the engineer is here, that they've already started studying that pretty well. We have not had a project where we've recommended that or required that as part of a development agreement, that they do that detailed engineering work up front. It's certainly something that we can consider in the future if there's a concern. We have this existing development agreement that you guys have approved, and we didn't include that. Again, that normal progression, right, of when they're willing to spend the money and do that detailed analysis. You know, at the end of the day, if, and Michael alluded to this, if they have to make the numbers work from an engineering perspective, and, you know, whether that requires improving a ditch along Bowers Road, or having that pond be large enough that that water is going to come out of that pond at a slow enough rate that it's not going to impact the existing ditch, right? And that's why they're oversizing that pond, so that they can modulate the discharge effectively from that ditch, or from the pond into the ditch, so that they're not going to reach the capacity of the ditch. But it would require that, just because it is pretty detailed engineering work. It involves all the detailed grading, the utility analysis in terms of where those pipes are going to be and so forth.
I got one other question. Just fast forwarding, if this were approved and, you know, they go through phase 1, we have to accept the roads and those things into the city, correct?
Yes.
So if the drainage issue is there and it's not, you know, the drainage ditch isn't large enough and they haven't engineered it for that or whatever, we can choose not to take that into
yeah, so
and then therefore they can't go to phase 2. Is that correct or not correct?
Effectively, I mean, when a final plat comes forward and gets approved, right, they have to have completed all of the improvements consistent with the approved plans. And then, you know, engineering makes a recommendation to accept it into maintenance. If it's not operating the way that it should, then I don't imagine engineering is going to sign off on it and for the final inspection and then recommend we take it on. But I think one of the points that, you know, Michael is making is that you could have a series of weather events, right, that are unprecedented, that even though they're over-designing this for a 100-year storm, could result in an issue. So I think it's impossible for us to say, from a technical standpoint, that there could never be any type of off-site impact. So I guess I would just say, you know, if it's operating and engineering recommends that you accept it into maintenance, and then we have a freak storm event or a series of them, there could still be an issue, right? That's just the nature of drainage. Yes.
So, no, I understand that. I mean, I understand it can be an issue, but I guess the point is there's a recourse there that has to be brought into maintenance. So therefore, the developer is, I mean, it's in their interest to do certain things in order for it to be brought into maintenance of the city. So
yes,
they're going to do that.
And I think, you know, I think the city staff has a good track record of holding those developers to account. I don't know if, Michael, do you want to add anything to the response there?
So part of your question was if there's an issue that shows up prior to us accepting those road into maintenance. Really, the larger part of these kind of subdivisions is after the roads are accepted into maintenance, and then they get into building houses and driveways and sidewalks and all that stuff. That's really where the bulk of your, increase to the ground cover comes from. When we're accepting these into maintenance, we're just talking about the roads. It's a pretty small percentage of, the overall development. But to Mary Beth's point, when they submit for those, we require them to provide as-built of all of the stormwater facilities, including the outlet structures for the ponds, and we make sure that those meet what was laid out by the designer. So that's kind of the catch for, those guys designed it correctly. They did the right methodology. We approved it based on our standards. Now the contractor has to go out and build it properly, and that's when we require those as-built. So if the as-bills don't match, then we make them go back and fix it until it does match, and that's when we recommend, acceptance into maintenance. That's that question everybody asks me, the standard question.
Yeah,
is everything built? Yes, that's
correct. And the reason I'm asking that is because there are several gates there that we go through to make.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments? I'm sorry, we've closed public hearings, so we can't. But any other questions from council? Y'all okay? All right, so we're going to close the hearing. I think close the questioning. We've got a motion and a second. Are you ready for a vote? Okay.
Councilmember Robleski?
Nay.
Councilmember Seifert?
Nay.
Council President Bartlett?
Nay.
Councilmember Spears?
Nay.
Councilmember Powell?
Nay.
Councilmember Shaw?
Nay.
Councilmember Denzine?
And the motion fails. Okay, now we're going to move to department reports and engineering.
There you go. All right, I have a couple of items. First is an annual update on the Rebuild Alabama Act 2019 gas tax. Got a little short presentation for you guys. A couple of slides. Try to make it as brief as I can. So this is the part where I come up and we talk about the projects that we're planning on doing with the 2019 gas tax this year. If you notice in the budget, we budgeted $650,000 for the gas tax fund this year. The two projects we're going to try to do are we're going to use to pay for this Browns Ferry culvert replacement project that's started and it's underway right now. Got a big hole in the road. And we're going to use about $545,000. That's the contract price right now. If any change orders come in, it might go up a little bit. There's plenty of money in the gas tax fund right now for that. And then the second one is a paving Research Boulevard project. This is kind of a road that falls sort of in between neighborhood paving because it's not neighborhoods, not really a collector. It's down here off of Boulevard, Madison Boulevard, across the street from, I believe it's Complete Dental. I think there's a dentist office across the street. This is one that was identified by planning as something that might promote some possible redevelopment in that area. So based on that recommendation, we added it to the list this year. In case you're wondering where these are, this is the proposed culvert relocation, replacement, just kind of north of where Most Chapel Road comes in.
And confirming February 2025 that it will be completed?
That's the plan, yes, ma'am, depending on rainy season.
And weather.
That's right. I always have to throw that in, right? And then this is Research Boulevard, right here across the street from Complete. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next I have resolution number 2024-279R. This is authorizing change order number 1 to project 22024 Mill Creek Ditch for Miller & Miller Incorporated. Modifications to the base bid, $130,367.94. In addition, an additional 95 calendar days. This to be paid from Fund 38.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion second. Any questions?
So is this bust a budget that you just showed us?
February 25. This is a different project than what I just showed you. This is Mill Road. The one that was on the gas tax was Browns Ferry Road.
Oh, all right.
No worries. This one is, I think there's $3 million in Fund 38, and we're still, even with this change order, comfortably below that. It turns out after we got it bid, found that there was a flood issue with the wall, had to relocate the wall, redesign it a little bit.
For some
There'll
reason,
be-
my mind saw.
No worries, we've been here a while.
I don't know.
There's gonna be another change order for the south side. We ran into a gas line for some of the stabilization we're gonna do over there, so there'll be a little change order for that coming in a couple of months, but like I said, we're still in good shape on the budget for that one.
All right.
All right, ready for vote?
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Michael. Facilities and grounds.
Facilities and Ground Department has four for your consideration tonight. First is Resolution 2024-321R, authorizing agreement with Johnson Controls for addition to the fire alarm system at Toyota Field for $2,869.59 to be paid from the multi-use venue account.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? Why do we need to add to the fire alarm system?
So this was actually missed during construction, a trash room that has a gas system in it. When it goes off, you have to have a audible alarm outside the door and a light. So you have to have visual and audio both, okay, to let you know that the gas is discharged inside the room before you go into the room.
Okay.
So it's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue. Yeah.
Any other questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Seifert,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky, Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Motion passes. Next.
Okay, next is Resolution 2024-331R, authorizing agreement with American Overhead Door for preventive maintenance service for $16,277, and it'll be paid from facilities and ground budget.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion second. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky, Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next is Resolution 2024-332R, authorizing agreement with Genco Incorporated for generator maintenance service, $15,200 to be paid from Facilities and Ground Department budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Motion passes.
And lastly, we have Resolution 2024-33R, authorizing agreement with State Systems Incorporated for the inspection services of fire alarm systems for $14,970 for the first year and $2,800 one-time fee for a new cellular dialer and monitoring to be paid from Facilities and Ground Department budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Councilmember Spears,
Aye.
Council President Bartlett,
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine, Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Gerald.
Gerald, I got one thing for you. Yes. And I'm just curious, it may be a rhetorical question. But as facilities and grounds, why are we hiring the contractors versus you doing this personally?
Okay, so the first one, to install the controls and hook it up to the fire alarm system, you have to have a certain type certification and a license to do that through their controls.
Mhm.
The second one, the overhead door service, that is a specialized industry. You're dealing with high tension springs, okay, and you really need to know what you're doing. Plus, while we farmed that out, we don't have the lift equipment to service all 78 overhead doors that we have across the city. My department doesn't have that today. The third one is generator services. So that's all of our emergency backups at all of our fire stations, one at the police department, one city hall, public works, Dublin Park, okay? We have to load test those every year. So you have to simulate and put a load on there to make sure the generator will
perform properly in the time that you need it.
Okay.
You don't need a generator until you need a generator. Okay, so it's got to be able to work. So that is that one. And then the state systems, the things that we've been trying to do for the last year is consolidate our contracts. All these contracts were in place, but they were with multiple different contractors. So we just brought them together, and by doing that, we've saved over 38% on these 3 contracts that you approved tonight. So it's not like that we're creating new work. It was already there. We just consolidate them into individual contracts so we can manage them better.
Okay. So is this kind of similar to like at my house and maybe at your house? Like I'm the facilities and grounds person at my house. Probably you're at your house. I'm not going to go do certain electrical work or work around my house. I'm probably going to hire a professional that's certified and bonded and warranted in that.
Yes, sir.
So that if something happens, I have potential legal recourse or those things and am covered properly from a quality of work standpoint.
You're trying to limit the liability that we have.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And when we go through legal, when we look, and these people have business license, certification, certificate of insurance that covers the city if something happens. Right. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Evening, I'd like your consideration for resolution number 2024-318R, authorizing professional services agreement with PAS Consulting Group for promotional assessment processes for the fire department, $27,550 to be paid from the fire department budget. This is the same company that the police department also uses for this process.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Robleski, second by Powell. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Planning.
This is proposed ordinance number 2024-305. This is for vacation of utility and drainage easement in the rear yard of 113 Bryden Circle, which is in Buckingham subdivision. And they're looking to add some backyard improvements. I'm sorry, that's such a faint exhibit, but you can see the hashed area there. A large portion of their backyard is in a utility and drainage easement, and they're just looking to vacate a portion of that. And all of the departments and entities are supporting this request.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is proposed ordinance number 2024-312. This is also a vacation of utility and drainage easement. This is in the rear yard of 244 Yancey Road, which is west of Slaughter. And you can see it's just a narrow portion of their rear yard easement they're looking to vacate. Again, all the departments and utilities are supporting this. They don't have any concrete plans at this time, but they're contemplating future improvements in their rear yard. So we're recommending approval of this request.
Move to approve.
Second.
Hey, Megan, I did some work at these people's house last year. Do I need to recuse myself from this? Yeah.
Abundance of caution.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw, excused. Councilmember Denzine, absent. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is proposed ordinance number 2024-326. This is just a first reading, and this pertains to the annexation of a vacant piece of property that is 0.63 acres in the Morris Estates subdivision, and they're requesting to annex. And so again, first reading.
Okay.
The next item is resolution number 2024-328-R, and this is to set a public hearing for the zoning of the same property. That hearing would be set for November 25th. The applicants are requesting to zone this property to R1A if it is annexed, and you can see that most of the Morris Estates subdivision has that R1A zoning. So we are asking your approval of this resolution to set the hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Ready for vote?
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is resolution number 2024-285-R, and this is to accept the public utility and drainage easement over that area on the south side of Lime Quarry Road that we were talking about earlier. Recommending approval of the acceptance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any questions? Ready for vote?
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And the next item is resolution number 2024-336-R. This is to authorize an amendment to our agreement with an architectural firm for construction documents for the addition to Toyota Field. The amount is $463,000. This would be payable from the Venue Maintenance Fund, and this would be preparation of construction documents for the vehicle, or for the visitor clubhouse, which would be a single-story building in the outfield.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions?
And just to clarify, this is being mandated by minor league baseball, that this is what we have.
Major
I
League
mean,
Major League.
well, is it minor league or
It's
major league?
Major League
Major
Baseball.
League Baseball is mandating this.
They own minor league baseball.
Right.
They are mandating certain size rooms and amenities to the visitor clubhouse that we can't fit in our existing visitor clubhouse, which is necessitating the need to build a new visitor clubhouse.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Ready for vote?
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Please.
Good evening. I'm here for resolution number 2024-302R, and it's authorizing the renewal of an agreement with Trident Security Services, who man our metal detectors out here. I am cognizant of, having citizens leave weapons out in their car. Just to let you know, I've also told my off-duty officers that are carrying firearms they have to leave theirs in the car as well, because it's good enough for citizens. It should be good enough for them as well, just to be fair. Let's see. This is for $172,380 to be paid for the police budget.
Move to approve.
$8,000 for less than last year.
Sorry. They're doing a great job.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and this is $8,000 cheaper than last year. Any questions, comments? Ready for a vote?
Councilmember Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Recreation?
My favorite person.
No.
Nope,
Yeah, legal.
Nope, sorry.
not yet. Sorry.
Megan
So
County.
close, so close.
Disappointment.
Probably keep you up tonight.
Good
was
evening.
good.
I have resolution 2024-337-R, authorizing a grant application and purchase of playground equipment from Game Time in the amount of $181,000 to be purchased from Omnia Partners Cooperative with 100% matching funds. As you may recall, each year we try to upgrade the neighborhood parks playground equipment, get rid of things that don't meet safety standards, that have outlived its lifespan. Game Time has a grant of 100% matching funds, so if we get the grant, we get playground equipment for essentially half price.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Robleski, second by Shaw.
I'll just say thank you. I mean, I saw the list. We're investing in 20, 25 different neighborhood parks. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, I think there'll be 8 on this one.
How many?
8 total.
8? It seemed like there were more in the list than 8.
Um,
Okay, but it was very encouraging.
You have a multi-year
it may
list,
be
though.
25 by the time we had everything up.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Right.
Great.
Okay, ready for vote?
Councilmember Roblesky.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Now my favorite person, just so you know, Corey.
Don't give him a complex.
He's not gonna get complex. He's gonna sleep well tonight.
Right. I'd like to present resolution number 2023-340R for your consideration tonight. This is a resolution to authorize the purchase of additional parking lot property bordering Toyota Field. The price is $4 million, and this is for 3.81 acres of property. And the purpose of this purchase is to allow the city to secure additional parking area to support the contemplated expansion of Toyota Field that Mary Beth just described, and also to replace some parking that will soon go away with a redevelopment of some current gravel parking area there at the entrance to the ballpark. If approved tonight, the city will have a 60-day due diligence period, and we're already beginning some of that. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them now.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion and second. Questions for Megan?
Just a real quick recap why this is a good investment for the city.
Sure. Well, as I described earlier, we need additional parking land in order to support the contemplated expansion of Toyota Field. It also secures permanent parking rights to this property because the larger parking lot is subject to clauses that, it was originally proposed as a lease, and so we don't have permanent property rights to that portion, and although we do have an option to purchase at the end. And so this provides us rights to do what we need to do in terms of parking at the end. And then it also, the current parking area that's gravel in the entrance area to the parking area is being contemplated for redevelopment. And so this just gives us extra space.
Thank you.
Megan, why do we have to provide parking?
It is in the license agreement with the team that will provide enough parking to support baseball.
If we don't, what is the impact?
We could be in default of our license agreement with the team.
And that could yield the team going elsewhere at some point.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Megan, there's a clause in the contract that requires us to make parking improvements within 2 years after closing.
That's correct.
Why is that section not a concern?
Well, the purpose of the purchase is to provide parking, and the property owner did not want to authorize the purchase and sell it unless the city proceeded with that. And as they described to me, they did not want the property to just sit there, vacant or be developed for, some other purpose. They do want to continue to have insight and input into how the overall development progresses.
How soon would we begin parking improvements once this contract and due diligence is done?
Yes, that's what I was told.
It'd be quickly.
Very
We have every interest to move forward. is what I'm-
Absolutely, absolutely.
what I'm
We
getting
have
at.
Yes.
Okay.
Every intention to move forward, yes.
Well, and, can you define improvements?
That's it.
Is it cut the grass, put some gravel on and line the gravel? Is that, define improvement. If it's at the same level of the current parking lot, would that be defined as improved within that time period?
Yes, it's a very general description of parking improvements. And it does come with just, basic, area for parking and landscaping and the associated improvements. So I'm flipping through the agreement to get the exact clause if you'd like me to.
It's fine. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm trying to look at it from the standpoint of, okay, if we have to improve it within 2 years, that means we got to expend funds within 2 years and, okay, define the scope of the project, what do the dollars look like? So that's just where my mind's at, not trying to be a smart aleck, although I'm pretty good at it.
Any other questions?
No, it's just something we need to do.
Okay. All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Roblesky?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Megan. Thank you. And we do not have an executive session this evening, so are there any other miscellaneous announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
As our community continues to grow, we're investing in the critical infrastructure and services that we need to prepare us for the future. And a lot of that future has to do with public safety and the need that we have for an additional fire station and a police presence here on the south side in the town Madison area. A fire station 4 and a police substation here in town Madison, closer to where it's needed. A parking lot that gives us additional support for the venue when overflow parking is needed. It adds field space for our adult programs in both soccer, softball, and baseball. Pickleball continues to grow by leaps and bounds, and this property will allow us to build an entire complex here for tournaments and also for our citizens to use on a daily basis. And then Hexagon was nice enough to allow us to use their gym for our recreational programs and continue to allow employees to utilize their gym facilities. What a great partner in Hexagon. What a wonderful project for our community. So how exciting, 4 projects, over 100 acres that Madison residents and our community will be able to utilize, tied together directly with what our community continues to ask for. Give us more green space, more connectivity, more ability to enjoy our quality of life and recreational activities, and most importantly, continue to keep us safe. All of these are exciting projects that I'm proud to have worked with. As we talked about, we're not just standing still on rankings that are wonderful, we're continuing to work hard for our community and doing it together as a team.
Actually, it's about an hour. I was told it's about an hour from, hey, Megan, hey, I seriously wasn't trying to be smart. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
It's great to have high rankings, both nationally and at a state level. But what we truly have is an incredibly positive quality of life. One that has lots of activities to do, great restaurants to go to, a ton of diversity as people continue to move in here from different places. It's a unique city that continues to grow on all of us.
Diversity is key to the success of Madison. We have so many people from so many different countries and continents and cultures. I think there are over 100 languages spoken in our school system. And I think the great thing about the diversity of Madison is the information and the difference of opinions and cultures that it brings to our city. We are a true melting pot.
I appreciate that you can talk to your neighbors and you can see someone at the grocery store and engage in conversation and talk to 15 minutes and feel like you have a new friend. I enjoy the friendliness of our community.
Undoubtedly, the people are the best thing about Madison. Madison has a strong spirit that comes through our schools, through our people, through everyone you meet is just so friendly.
I think the best thing about Madison is that we have big town perks, but a small town feel. You can really access everything that you want within 5 miles of here. There's so many cool businesses that are right in our backyard, but really it's a small town at heart.
It's the community feel, it's the getting together, it's the Madison Street Festival. I mean, it just was a great opportunity for everybody to come together and enjoy what this city brings to the families. We had a petting zoo, we had children just performing. We had the senior center performing. But all those things are just family oriented. It brings us together. It brings us, just strengthens the community. And it's a great event happening every year that brings in so many people, and I think that's a gem.
I think our quality of life is really shown in our different greenways, multi-use paths, trails, sporting events, or sporting locations, things like that. So yes, I would say that we have a great quality of life.
The best thing about Madison is its people. Our people get engaged at every facet of our city. They volunteer, they send their kids to our schools, they try to help us out in any way that they can to make this community better.
And I think the hidden gem that I always am so grateful for are our teachers, staff, and administrators. And you know, they're a dedicated group of leaders who want the very best for our children. And so I just would have to say, as superintendent, they're the gem.
And as we mature as a community, each of us continues to get roots that are a little deeper and a little deeper. The planting of those roots is what continues to make our city strong.
My family moved here in the early 70s when Madison was 2,500 to 3,000 people.
My family's roots in the city of Madison are me and my coworkers. You know, those are the roots that I'm building, and those are the relationships that I'm building. I'm not a native of Alabama, but I'm certainly learning to love it.
As an Army brat, roots are hard to find, but they were so easy to plant here in Madison.
So our family's roots in Madison are deep. As a former active duty military family that moved all around the country, we were looking for somewhere that we could raise our family, plant roots, and stay for good. And not just for the duration of raising our kids, but we hope that our kids come back and raise their kids here. After living all over the country, we truly feel like this is the best place in the entire country to live, and we're staying put.
You know, as mayor here in the city of Madison, it's always an honor to be able to give the state of the city, to share with you all that we've accomplished together within the last year, and in this case, the last 3 years because of COVID. You know, it's an incredible team. It's our department heads, it's our city employees, it's our city council, our school system, the hospital, all the folks that you've seen that continue to make a difference for Madison. You know, it doesn't matter when you moved here, how deep your roots are. What we continue to hear is you love living in this community with a great school system, plenty to do, and someplace you feel safe. We thank you for coming tonight and sharing this with us. We can't wait to continue to work hard for you in the next year to come.
I hate keeping them trucks once they get out of warranty. So I think they got 24s on the lot and 25s on the lot. So
I heard the 25s were starting to come in. The 24s they want to get rid of.
Yeah.
That might be the best thing to look at.
They got $8,000 off sticker right now on the 24s.
Well, good evening. Let me start by thanking Katie and Meta for their sponsorship and thanking all the sponsors that you guys have seen as these have continued to roll through on the board. This event does not happen without sponsorship. Also, I want to thank our Madison Chamber of Commerce, Michelle Epling, her team, the Madison board, and all the ambassadors. We have the wonderful privilege of cutting a lot of ribbons and breaking a lot of ground. They do an incredible job there, but bringing everybody here tonight to be able to see what we're doing and hear the message is critical. So thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to the Madison Chamber. Let's give them all a big round of applause. But on behalf of our Madison City Council, our Madison department heads, and our employees in the city of Madison, I welcome you to our Celebrate Madison event and the opportunity to come to give you an idea of what the state of our city is. There's a lot of pressure standing up here right now. Oh, not because I have what I have to talk about, that's pretty easy. It's because I'm in between you and t-shirt launches and fireworks. So I know I'm going to be brief, but I sure am proud. And I think that's where I want to start. I am so proud to be the mayor of Madison, Alabama, and I am so proud to be a part of not only this city, but this Tennessee Valley community. I want to start there. We have an incredible community. And with that, I don't know how, in this case, you can't be happy living here. There's so much opportunity and so many people that have helped us to get to that point. Is take this event from about 20 people in the city council chambers to this event tonight to be able to hear, see, touch, and feel who Madison, Alabama truly is. And so for that, I'm very grateful. But I'm just kind of the mouthpiece. And I appreciate Katie saying that there's vision, and there is. Because part of what your job is as mayor is to listen. Once you listen to what your community needs, you then have to work with a team of people to get it done. And Madison is blessed to have a strategic and a tactical team that in turn help make it happen. First, you have your elected officials. We have 7 Madison City Council folks. They continue to be incredibly strong partners, helping us with the legislative end, the governance end, and being able to work together to make sure that we meet our mission statement of taking what you give us, stretching it as far as we can, and making a difference for your community. Those 7 members that you see up there don't get paid a lot of money, but they truly, each and every day, make big decisions for our city. I'm thrilled and appreciative to work with them, and as you'll see in a minute, in all the years that I've done this, our city council folks continue to step up to make big decisions for our city. But once we make the strategic decisions, it turns to the tactical requirements to get done what we think and believe needs to be done. And that's the second batch that you're going to see, and that's our department heads in the city of Madison. We have 15 different departments, and once we hand down the requirements and empower them to be successful, I continue to be amazed at what our department heads, using each one of their teams, do for our city. The part that to me is critical is over the last 40 years, from the 80s until now, this wonderful problem that we have of people want to continue to move here has constantly been at the edge of what we could handle, both financially and with the growth that goes on. Again, Madison's blessed because of our proximity, our school system, and our partners of Huntsville and Madison County, Limestone County, and the surrounding areas. But we're going to go to a first video and show you more about what we do. I think the key here is for 40 years, mayors, city councilmen, department heads, school superintendents, our Madison School Board have all stepped up and continued at their point in time to take Madison from a sleepy little town to a bustling, enjoyable, incredibly positive town. And I'd love you to share with me a few minutes to enjoy our last 40 years. As we celebrate Madison here at Toyota Field, I'm reminded about the early stages of naming our baseball team. We did focus groups to understand who is Madison, and it was interesting what they came back with. We consider ourselves hardworking,